So good to be with you this evening. How many of you recognize the picture up here? A few of you? That is the picture from The Chosen, the movie sister. This is not an endorsement, by the way. If you've ever seen the beginning of the movie, it shows a pool of fish swimming, and every so often, one fish will change color and swim against the stream. And so I thought that would go along good with my contrary to expectations theme, so that's why I used that. But the information on this comes from a couple of different sources. I have a book in my library called Been There, Done That, Now What? And it's about the book of Ecclesiastes. It's written by a guy named Ed Young. And the subtitle is The Meaning of Life May Surprise You. And really, Ecclesiastes is about things that you think that you would expect to be fulfilling that really are not. I didn't hear the gospel until I was 20 years old. I was a college student. I was a sophomore. And I got invited to come to a Bible study, just a simple Bible study in a dorm room. And I went and I listened. And that was a while ago when I was in college. I won't tell you how many years ago, but it was a while ago. As I think back on my college career, I played collegiate basketball. I cannot remember the plays that we ran on the basketball team. I don't even think I could list the players that I played with. I could list some of them, but I don't remember a lot of the classes that I took, to be quite honest. I don't remember which classes I took or the professors' names. I remember almost every one of those Bible studies that we did. And one was a lot of what I'm going to share with you tonight. And I remember the impact that it had on my life as I was trying to figure out what life was all about. And this book of Ecclesiastes, written by a man who had tried everything, he'd tried it all. And he's saying, been there, done that. I can tell you what works, and this doesn't work, and that doesn't work, and that doesn't work. And at the end of the book, he tells us what's worked. So that's what we're going to study. You can open up to Ecclesiastes chapter 1, get out your outline as we begin talking about contrary to expectations. First point that I want to make is Solomon was the king. But in the book of Ecclesiastes, he refers to himself as the preacher. Look with me at chapter 1 and verse 1. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities. All is vanity. What advantage does man have in all his work, which he does under the sun? Solomon, a king, in this book refers to himself as the preacher. Why the preacher? Well, the Hebrew word, Koheleth, does anybody speak Hebrew? Okay, I pronounced that right then, I'm sure. That word, that Hebrew word, is translated Ecclesiastes in the Greek. In the Septuagint, which was the Bible that Jesus used in his day, which was a Greek translation of the Hebrew Old Testament, anytime he's quoting or reading from the Bible, he's reading the Greek translation, the Septuagint. It translates this word, Ecclesiastes, very similar in the Latin, and that's where we get the name, our English name of the book, Ecclesiastes. We use the C's instead of the K's, obviously. But that is the word for preacher. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because look at the Greek word for church. Ekklesia. Ekklesia, Ecclesiastes. The two words are related. Ecclesiastes comes from ecclesia, which is a word for church or assembly or congregation. And the word was The word for church or ecclesia was not a religious word. It was a very common word. In fact, it was used in military when you called the soldiers together to give them their marching orders. We were talking about the military just a moment ago, and when the sergeant steps out in the parking lot, he says, "Fall in." That means you're supposed to sprint to your position and get ready to march. And then he gives you your marching orders. Left, face, forward, march. He gives you your orders. Well, that's the Ecclesiastes. That's that guy. He's the preacher. That's what the word preacher means, the guy who gives the marching orders. Isn't that interesting? And so that's the name of this book. Preacher is the name of the book of Ecclesiastes. So Solomon is referring to himself as, I'm here to give the marching orders. I'm here to explain the path that the assembly that belongs to God is supposed to take. The congregation, those who are called out, the ecclesia. Now, people keep trying the same thing, generation after generation, but nothing under the sun satisfies our longing for purpose and meaning. Let's read on. Let's go down to verse 8 and look at 8 and 9. All things are wearisome. Man is not able to tell it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor is the ear filled with hearing. That which has been is that which will be, and that which has been done is that which will be done. So, there's nothing new under the sun. Solomon says, yeah, you can go out and try all these things. It's been done before. You don't have to go try it to see if it's for you or not. I don't have to go try jumping off a cliff to see if it's for me or not. I'm pretty sure it's not. I've kind of decided that's not for me. Not something I'm interested in. There's things that people go try seeking satisfaction. And he's saying there's really nothing under the sun. Under the sun is a key word. I actually preached on it a year ago. Under the sun. It appears 29 times in this very short 12 chapters. 29 times. And then 3 times under heaven, which means the same thing. 3 times that appears. We'll look at 2 of those in our reading today. People are looking for this purpose, this meaning, and they're trying different things. And Solomon, the preacher, comes along and says, you know what? I've tried that. I've tried the things under heaven. And under heaven means basically without God. Just the things of this world, worldly things. I've tried these worldly things. They are not fulfilling. We're going to look at 6 things. 6 things, and there's others in the book, but 6 that I want to concentrate on because I think they're the most common things that people try to do to find satisfaction. Let's look at these. So, number 1, we think education or empirical research, that's what goes in your blank, will reveal the meaning and purpose of life. Let's see what the preacher says about this in verse 12. I, the preacher, have been king over Israel in Jerusalem. And I set my mind to seek and explore by wisdom concerning all that has been done under heaven. There's that phrase, under heaven. It is a grievous task, which God has given to the sons of men to be afflicted with. I've seen all the works which have been done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity. By the way, the word vanity appears 22 times in this short book. And striving after the wind. What is crooked cannot be straightened. What is lacking cannot be counted. And I said to myself, behold, I have magnified and increased wisdom more than all who were over Jerusalem before me. And my mind has observed a wealth of wisdom and knowledge. And I set my mind to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. And I realized that this also is striving after wind. Because in much wisdom there is much grief, and increasing knowledge results in increasing pain. A lot of people think education, that's the key. Empirical research, looking at the world and solving all of our problems through man's knowledge and man's wisdom. And someone says, you think you got wisdom? You don't know anything. Solomon had great wisdom even before the event where God gave him that extra supernatural dose of wisdom that he used, that he asked God for so that he could guide the people. He was already pretty smart. Man, you talk about education, you talk about knowledge. He says, I magnified, I increased wisdom. I had a wealth of wisdom and knowledge. I tried that. I thought that would satisfy. I thought that would give me meaning and purpose. If I was just smart enough, I could solve all my problems. How many of you have things that you did in the past that was just dumb? Just be honest, it was just dumb. And if I would have been smart, maybe I wouldn't have done that. So we think that would be the answer. It seems like that would fix our problems. Thomas says, no. It doesn't fix the problem. Only divine revelation can draw the line of demarcation between wisdom and folly. In other words, man doesn't have the answers to man's problems. It's not within a man to direct his steps. We don't have the answers inside of ourselves. We never will. It takes divine knowledge. In other words, it takes the wisdom we get from God's word to guide us. This empirical, this searching without God for answers results in folly. Evolution is folly. The idea that we evolved from monkeys or that we involved, all the species evolved from, that's ridiculous. First of all, there's no evidence to back that up. It's a theory, and it's a false theory. And it's a dangerous theory because if we evolve from animals, we can act like animals and we can treat each other like animals. And that's the problem. No, that's not the answer. God has the answer. But people try that. They try education. They think that's going to fix my problem. That's going to give me satisfaction and give me purpose in life. Second thing we try, number 2, you would expect seeking your own pleasure to result in personal happiness. He talks about this in chapter 2, verse 1. I said to myself, come now, I will test you with pleasure. So enjoy yourself. And behold, it too was futility. I said of laughter, it is madness, and of pleasure, what does it accomplish? So just pleasure, just pleasing myself, or what we would call it in this generation, if it feels good, do it, right? That's the expression today. If it feels good, just go do it. Just go get all the pleasure you want. On the contrary, seeking to make yourself happy will make you miserable. It will. If you set out to make you happy, you're going to be miserable. Why? Because true joy in life comes from helping others, comes from serving others. Not from serving yourself. It's empty. It's cold. Do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit, but with humility of mind, regard one another as more important than yourselves. Do not merely look out for your own personal interest, but also for the interest of others. Have this attitude in yourselves, which also is in Christ Jesus. Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 through 5. So, education doesn't give us purpose. Seeking pleasure doesn't give us purpose. How about this one? Number 3, alcohol. Yeah, there we go. Alcohol. Alcohol presents itself as a simple and pleasurable way to make your problems go away. Look what he says in verse 3 of chapter 2. I explored with my mind how to stimulate my body with wine, while my mind was guiding me wisely, and how to take hold of folly until I could see what good there is for the sons of men to do under heaven the few years of their lives. Alcohol. That'll fix the problem. By the way, you heard announced this morning, we are going to do a new Bible study Thursdays at 9:30 in the morning. I know that's not the most convenient time, but the ones who want to do the class, that was a convenient time for them, and so that's what we're going to try. We were going to start this class several years ago when Andy Blizzard was alive, and Andy and I talked a lot about it. We were going to do it together, and I really needed his perspective, which is totally different than mine. Mine's only as a counselor. He had kind of a firsthand experience with some of that stuff, and we were going to do it. And when he passed, it really kind of took the steam out of having the class. But there's been a resurgence of interest. And so if you know somebody who struggles with maybe a substance abuse, whether it's alcohol or other drugs or nicotine or opioids, or maybe it is a non-substance abusive problem like gambling or pornography or addiction to video games or workaholics. There's a lot of things that sometimes we're addicted to. We're going to talk about, and this is not going to be a group therapy. This is going to be a Bible study. Let me be very clear about that. We're going to study the Bible. We're going to see what the Bible has to say about how to help us with our addictive habits, our issues, things that hurt our lives. Alcohol is a big one. Alcohol causes a lot of problems. This man, Solomon, look what he says about alcohol in the book of Proverbs. Wine is a mocker, strong drink a brawler, and whoever is intoxicated by it is not wise. He says in chapter 23, verse 29, who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has contentions? Who has complaining? Who has wounds without cause? Who has redness of eyes? Those who linger long over wine. Those who go to taste mixed wine. Do not look on the wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup, when it goes down smoothly. At the last, it bites like a serpent and it stings like a viper. Those are poisonous snakes. Ethyl alcohol is poison. It's poisonous to your system. That's why your liver immediately, when you pour that stuff down your throat, immediately your liver is trying to get it out of your body because it is poisonous to you. And that's what the Bible says. He goes on to say, your eyes will see strange things. Your mind will utter perverse things. And you will be like one who lies in the middle of the sea, or like one who lies down on the top of the mast. They struck me, but I did not become ill. They beat me, but I did not know it. When shall I awake? And I will seek another drink. You can just see the wino here. Oh, they hit me. I didn't care. I was fine. What a picture. Same book, chapter 31, verse 4. It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, or for rulers to desire strong drink, for they will drink and forget what is decreed and pervert the rights of all the afflicted. Give strong drink to him who is perishing, and wine to him whose life is bitter. Alcohol is not your friend. It doesn't fix your problems. It just creates one more. It's not the answer. People turn to it. They think, oh, well, that's it. Man, Jack Daniels is going to get me through this problem. No, he's not. Alcohol is not the solution. Here's another one, number 4. You would think esteem and satisfaction comes from successful completion of great projects. That makes sense, doesn't it? You think, well, doing things and accomplishing things, that will give me purpose and meaning in life. The preacher talks about this. Back to chapter 2 of Ecclesiastes in verse 4. I enlarged my works. I built houses for myself. I planted vineyards for myself. I made gardens and parks for myself. Do you see how I'm emphasizing that word? Did you catch that? Myself, myself, myself. And I planted in them all kinds of fruit trees. I made ponds of water for myself, from which to irrigate a forest of growing trees. Someone says, you want to talk projects? Oh, I got you beat there. I had some projects in my life. I built things. I built a whole kingdom. The borders of the nation of the Jewish people expanded more during the reign of Solomon than any other time. He was brilliant at that. He had projects going. He had buildings going on. He accomplished things. You would think that would be satisfactory, wouldn't you? If you did those things, wouldn't you feel like, man, I've got purpose. I've got meaning in life. Solomon says, I'm the one that did it. And let me tell you, it's worthless. It's chasing the wind. It's not satisfactory. Contrary to what you would expect, isn't it? You would think that would give you purpose. No, it doesn't give you purpose. Here's the answer. Number 5, money. Yeah, that has to be the answer. If I had lots of money, I would be completely satisfied. That's my problem now. I don't have enough money, right? If I just had $2,000 more dollars, you know what? If you had 2,000 more, do you know what you'd want? 2,000 more, right? Look what Solomon says in verse 8. Also, I collected for myself silver and gold and the treasure of kings and provinces. I provided for myself male and female singers and the pleasures of men, many concubines. Solomon says, you want to talk money? This guy measured his gold by the tons. No man in all of history was as wealthy as Solomon was. You think making money is going to satisfy you? Solomon says, been there, done that, it doesn't work. Money is not your answer. Working more hours so you make more money is not your answer. That is not going to fulfill like you think it is. Because you're going to get to the end of your life, and let's say you made millions. Big deal. Big deal. What's the point? It's chasing after the wind. All these things are pointless. I want to look at one more. It's from the same verse, number 6, sexual fulfillment. Having physical relationships with multiple partners. Surely that's the way to live. It's got to be. That's what every television show shows, right? Man, you got to have the flings going on the side. You got to have multiple sexual relations, and then you will be fulfilled. That will answer your problems. Solomon says, been there, done that. 1 Kings chapter 11. Starting the first verse says, King Solomon, however, loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughters, Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, Hittites. They were from the nations about which the Lord had told the Israelites, you must not intermarry with them because they will surely turn your hearts after their gods. Nevertheless, Solomon held fast to them in love. He was in love, fellas, in love. He had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines, and his wives led him astray. Sexual fulfillment, Solomon says, you want to try that? You can't hold a candle to me. Solomon says, I've been there, tried it. Guess what? It does not satisfy. It's hollow, it's empty, it's chasing after the wind. All these things under the sun are chasing after the wind. They will not give you the satisfaction. Oh, you think they would. But contrary to that expectation, you're going to find if you pursue these things, you're going to wind up empty. Make 2 more points and then we'll close out. Look at chapter 2 again of Ecclesiastes and read with me starting in verse 10. All that my eyes desired, I did not refuse them. I did not withhold my heart from my pleasure, for my heart was pleased because of all my labor, and this was my reward for all my labor. Thus I considered all my activities which my hands had done, and the labors which I had exerted, and behold, all was vanity, and striving after the wind, and there was no profit under the sun. A lot of people think that the book of Ecclesiastes is about a man who was depressed. He wasn't depressed. He's saying, if you pursue these things, it's hollow, it's empty, but he was not having depression himself. He's just saying, I tried those things, they don't fulfill. But he had found what fulfills. He's just saying, these aren't it. This is vanity. Try it, it's vanity. It's worthless. It's pointless. You think it's going to fulfill you, it's not. Don't do it. Don't go that way. So what's the answer? Contrary to expectation, the only thing that's going to fulfill that emptiness in your heart is doing the will of God. Now flip clear to the end of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12. And look at the second to the last verse, verse 13. The conclusion, when all has been heard, is fear God and keep His commandments. Because this applies to every person. Or if you have the English Standard Version, it says, for this is the whole duty of man. Or I really like the Good News Bible. It says, because this is all that we were created for. Why do those other things not satisfy? Because that's not what you were created for. God didn't put you on this earth to make a bunch of money. He didn't put you on this earth to build great projects. He didn't put you on the earth to get as much education and empirical knowledge as you possibly can. He put you on the earth to serve Him, to worship Him, to fear Him, and to keep His command. Psalmist says in the end, that's it. That's what is going to give you purpose. Imagine looking at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and saying, today, I did the will of God. Wasn't perfect. I didn't do everything exactly right, but I did what God wanted me to do. Imagine doing that every single day. And tell me that's not fulfillment. The happiest times in my life is when I was doing the will of God. How about you? That's the happiest moments of my life. The most fulfilled I have ever felt is when I was doing what God made me to do. You can pursue these other things if you want. You have free will. You can do whatever you want. But I'm telling you, it's not going to give you the satisfaction you think it is. In the end, you're going to be disappointed. Most folks have no idea where they're going because they have no idea why they're here. When you figure out why you're here, then you'll know where you need to go, but not until. So I close with this thought. Fear God and keep His commandments. This is the whole duty of man. This is what we were created for. I appreciate your time and attention tonight. We're going to offer an invitation. Maybe something I've said tonight has stirred your heart. If you're wanting prayers, you're needing the prayers of the church. Maybe you're outside of Christ and you would like to come to Christ, be baptized. This invitation is for you. Please come as we stand and sing.